And welcome to Liquid Lunch, coming at you live. It is Thursday. Sandra's back.
March 26th.
Yeah, you were sick last week.
And I'm still sick.
Get out.
Yeah, so if I do cough a little bit, I apologize. So I think you're going to have to do most of the talking.
No. I think you're going to do the perfect amount of talking.
Which is nothing.
I didn't say that.
You know what I realized? Okay, so I've had this cold for like 2 weeks now, and can't you see my voice? Can't you tell my voice?
It's a little bit.
It's almost a little male-like, or more than normal. Anyway, I've noticed how much coughing and laughing are the same. Every time I laugh, I break out into a cough. So don't make me laugh.
How can we make money off of that?
Well, you know how you have coffee talk? I'm thinking coughing talk.
Yeah, coughing talk. Okay, good.
That would be good. And we could get Halls or something to sponsor us. That would be a good idea.
Splendid.
Splendid. Did you know it was snowing today?
Yes, because I looked out the window.
What is up with that?
Hey, I always say March is a winter month. March
winter
is
or winter?
winter.
Well, this is not unusual, right?
No.
It can snow in plus temperatures.
It can snow in April.
But
it can
won't.
snow in May.
But it won't.
It's rare, but
It's not going to.
no, there's always
This is
gonna.
it, guys.
We're
This
gonna
is
get
the last
no. We're getting
snowfall.
one more blizzard.
No, we're not.
No, we always
No,
get
we're
one
not.
more
No,
blizzard.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
We
Shall
have
we
an
get
amazing
busy?
show. I'm so excited.
Well, let's get started. We got Dr. John Stewart joining us after. Well, John, you've been on a journey around the country and back here to Toronto, and we've been on a journey
And
here
around
at that
dimensions
channel.
too, I think.
Well, that's your journey, Sandra. But anyway, welcome back. It's great to have you here, and really excited about whatever we're going to talk about today.
It's so nice to see you again. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, it's nice to be back and to continue. And in the last 2 years, I've been studying intensely a lot of metaphysical, uber-physical is the new term now, beyond and superior to physical, uber-physical.
Okay, I love that word, Uber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uber is going to be in our language now in everything.
Well,
because we are striving for excellence. And yeah.
So Uber is the ultimate in excellence.
Superior, high performance, physicality, high frequency, maybe high frequency
Okay,
physicality.
so vibrational.
Vibrational, because we know that predominantly, as Tesla pointed out, it's all about resonance and vibration and frequency.
So are we talking Tesla the cat?
Well, in honor of Tesla, I named my cat Tesla. Yeah.
Well, you know, we had Marcel Wolf from Tesla Mania was here a couple of weeks
he's a good
ago,
friend of mine, yeah.
talking about frequency and stuff like
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Magnetic fields, and I'm going to talk a little bit about magnetic brain stimulation, for
that.
example.
Oh yeah, let's get
Well,
into that.
The
Yeah.
really cool thing about what you do, John, and what I found Tesla was doing, and even
Tesla the cat?
Einstein, Tesla's all over it. Tesla the cat is, I mean, he's the living embodiment of it. We're just striving for that. So, but what I find all of these people do when they have that level of intelligence in science and mathematics and quantum reality, it just naturally flows into spirituality, because a lot of the comments, I mean, I know they're known as scientists, but I've seen some of their quotes and they're actually quite spiritual.
Einstein particularly, isn't he? Yeah,
Yes.
the expansion of consciousness and all that, yeah.
And so that I have found, and actually Tesla has a quote too about frequency and vibration in context with spirituality, and I never thought of him that way, but I guess once you get to that level of intelligence, there really is not a distinction.
Tesla was an example of a savant, like
Okay.
Mozart and others, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Tesla was undoubtedly a savant, and he was an acquired savant. There are two kinds. He had a brain injury as a teenager. He fell off the roof and he was in coma for a few months. And so he had a post-traumatic savant state. And he was channeling inventions all the time. He also had this one hallmark of a savant. It's infinite memory. He could memorize whole logarithm tables with all the numbers.
I didn't know that.
So he undoubtedly was in that category.
But this happened because of the accident. He wasn't born
We
that way.
think so, yeah.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
So something, we know, we have a good idea now what happens. It's the frontotemporal lobe on the left side that becomes damaged or reduced activity. In fact, magnetic stimulation on that area induces a savant state in normal people. And I treat myself every day.
Wow.
So there are two kinds of savants. So Tesla and Einstein also too. These people are not very functional in everyday life, but they have these what's called islets of superiority, of supernormal performance in music, arts, memory, and motor skills.
So Beethoven and Mozart, would they be in that category?
Mozart for sure. And there's an amusing story of Mozart. When he was a teenager, his father and he were invited to the Sistine Chapel, and they were allowed to hear the forbidden music that normal mortals were not allowed to hear, in case it raised their vibration too high. It's the famous Allegri's Miserere. Now Mozart had his infinite memory, so in that evening after he had it, he wrote down all the score. He remembered the whole thing, and presented it in Strasbourg to the local church when he got home. But he got called back to the Vatican. Did he steal the score? How did he get it so perfectly? And at that point, they realized his ability. Normally, people who illegally listened to this music were either burned at the stake or excommunicated. Mm-hmm. So now we can listen to it without fear of these drastic consequences.
Isn't that interesting?
So let's get into the nitty-gritty, John, because we have limited time. But what would you want to start talking about today?
I want to start with an area that's been near to my mind for decades. I had an initial education in medical sciences, biology, zoology, anthropology, and botany particularly excited me because I could see how herbs had an effect on humans and animals. Examples are the willow bark produces ASA, acetyl salicylic acid, which is aspirin. The poppy produces a whole plethora of codeine, heroin, morphine, etc., that have unique effects on humans and animals. Ayahuasca has unique effects. Cocaine, all of the poison of the toads and snake venom. How come these complex molecules come about that they know to have this connectedness with humans and animals? It's not of survival value. So evolution, they didn't evolve through natural selection and survival of the fittest. So there's some interconnectedness between the plant and the animal or human. Right. And I believe it's through higher dimensions. So there's one example of the existence of higher dimensionality, which is my favorite topic now, to bring scientific evidence-based spirituality. What is the evidence for these energy forms and that interconnectedness that we know happens in quantum physics?
Okay.
That's a tall order.
Yeah. Now, and I just want to remind you that we do have the slides, so I don't know when you want to start talking about. Just let me know when you want to hit some of that.
Yeah, I have quite a few slides to illustrate some of the topics. I don't have one on this topic, but this is I think it's the most important connectedness between one aspect of biology and another. See, biology, I think, taps into these high dimensional frequencies more than any other aspect or inorganic aspect of the universe or universes.
Biology does.
Biology, life.
Right.
And life forms tap in to varying parts of the spectrum, and I'm going to show slides of this. There are the whole spectrum of frequencies covers from the most gross low frequencies up to the highest. And what is the highest frequency in the universe? Corresponds to the Planck length, 10 to the minus 35 meters. It turns out that frequency is about the limit. Physicists think you can't go any further. So quantum physics stops at 10 to the minus 10, 0.1 nanometers, 1 angstrom. Atoms are actually quite gross. When you get in that, what we call now a sub-quantum domain, it's where all of this resides. And that is the focus of my interest now.
The sub-quantum.
The sub-quantum dimensions. And we think, we know quantum physics is bizarre enough.
Yes.
This stuff is even more, a million times more bizarre and difficult to understand when you get down to 10 to the minus 35 wavelength.
Okay, John, I'm going to make a big quantum leap here, and ask you a crazy question. And that is that since you've been focusing on this sub-quantum world, which, you know, some of us are just hearing about for the first time,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, from your study of it, what are the, I'm just making a big shortcut here, what are the implications for us in our daily lives that you envision from your study of the sub-quantum world?
Yeah, I think the most important thing we can do in our daily lives is, one, to know our deep self, to know who we are. Most of us don't know who we are. We're cut off from our true identity and from our higher selves, higher dimensional selves that Dolores Cannon calls the subconscious, others call the uber-conscious. So that is available to us. And these savants are able to tap into that right part of the brain through the hippocampus and download, like Daniel Tammet, the boy who could recite pi to 25,500 decimal places. Mm-hmm. So they're able to use that half of the brain that we normal healthy people cannot, because it's suppressed by what I call the tyranny of the dominant hemisphere. But when that is suppressed by magnetic pulses or by injury or savant state, we then have access to our full consciousness. So I think in answer to your question, we have to practice being in touch with our full consciousness from that non-dominant hemisphere part of our brain. Yeah. Now, how can we do that? Many say it through meditation. I'm not that keen on meditation. It's helpful, but there are other ways that we can enhance our ability. One is to do exercises, brain exercises, that can open up and enhance this functioning. Another is through magnetic stimulation. So maybe that's something we need to do every day.
Take SIO.
That's another thing you can do.
That's another thing you can do.
Yeah, there are
all kinds of healing modalities.
Chacun a son goût, in that different strokes for different folks.
Yes.
So some people need meditation, some people
Yes.
need physical exercise, some people need something else to
Yes.
unlock
Yes.
the non-dominant hemisphere.
Now, I think some of the other things that you work with, some of these tools that we can use to do that, include some technologies that I know because I know you build stuff.
Well, actually, yeah, I'm more excited. I'm excited about this latest magnetic stimulation because it's a very effective cure for depression, migraine, physical pain, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and people have got benefit, and it's quite painless. You don't feel anything, in contrast to ECT, electric convulsive treatment. So. I have a new website called transcranial.institute, where I want to present this kind of information. I have the world's first portable TMS magnetic stimulator that we can all use at home. So
Did you build that?
I build that.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so wait a second. Okay, so this is the first time I'm hearing of this new technology, this new instrument you have. Have you used it on people already?
Yes. Not in Canada,
Okay.
but in other countries. People are using it. I use it myself. And I'm getting good reports back, the benefits of
No.
it. And it's been well established through many clinics throughout the world. They have $60,000 systems, and they're getting good results. Even in Toronto, the Clark Institute area, they have one of these very expensive ones. But
Your machine or a version,
No.
a bigger version?
The bigger version.
You have the portable.
Now I have one that can be therapists can use in their office, or people can use at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think Canada will embrace this?
Oh yes, there's no doubt.
Okay, okay.
The evidence is quite clear and conclusive. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Now, I know one of the other things, because I listened to that interview you sent me before,
Yeah.
you know, and you were talking there too about the pineal gland, and it's, you know, you mentioned ayahuasca, and I understand that the pineal gland is what opens to the other dimensions and stuff like that.
That's a good question. And the pineal is one of my favorite organs. Pineal seems to be a downloading device that biology has created in humans and animals, and maybe even in dolphins. So it's a bidirectional communication system. And inside the pineal, as David Wilcox points out in his book, The Source Field Investigation, the pineal has little cysts in which are like retinas, where you get pictures. So maybe that's where we see pictures in our mind, is through the pineal. But remember too that every experience we have, we're feeding back to the great cache, also called the Akash, strangely enough.
The Akashic
Yeah.
So
records.
there's a circuit completed where we feed back our experiences and we're nourishing God, in other words, and we are being nourished by the order that comes through the morphic fields, to quote Rupert Sheldrake.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
This is fascinating.
Where do we sign up?
You always have something.
But there's something more mind-blowing that I have to share in case.
Like, that's
Okay.
not
we don't
mind-blowing
have
enough.
time.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's something called Boltzmann brain. Boltzmann brain. And it's on Wikipedia, and there have been conferences about it. It's that in the infinity of the universe, anything is possible, and everything has to happen at some point. Like, we are very rare events in the history of the universe, and it could be that, you know, we are very unique in that we are intelligent beings. There are also lesser intelligent entities that also have a high probability of existing, and they're called Boltzmann brains. And sometimes we see them as orbs, which are self-delineated objects that float around, and they can come to you. They respond to children and to a group of people.
But they're not physical.
They're
You can see
non-physical,
them.
but they have an ethereal visibility
Okay.
that some people can see, and certain cameras can pick up in the
yes.
infrared. Yeah. So we know they exist. We know that these intelligent entities do exist. And the question then arises, if a group of these get together, could they combine their intelligences to give rise to something like a superior being without using the G word?
You mean to create one, or
It
to
would
become
like
one?
crystallize out of the randomness or the chaos, would be this perfect crystal of intelligence that grew and grew and grew until it reached a critical mass and blew up, and we call that the Big Bang.
Interesting. Actually, in class, we talked about the Big Bang last night, and we talked about it being really consciousness, and we actually talked about that. When you see those orbs, we'll call them orbs.
Orbs, sure.
We don't know. When you're saying when they collect together and then they can possibly crystallize and form and have this Big Bang, we don't know that what we're seeing is not a collection already, do we?
It undoubtedly is.
Okay.
Undoubtedly is a collection of sub-cells that have come together. That's why I think they can continue, and like bubbles in a soap bath, they can combine and form a big bubble. And maybe that is the big bubble that controls the intelligence of our local universe. And maybe there are many gods for each universe of higher intelligence that is local to that of the many universes. Yeah.
Oh, we were just talking about this last night in class. We were just talking about this.
Plus, we're going to have God on in the show later
Oh
on
my
today.
God! Yeah.
So
yeah.
it is a big show today.
Wow, it's so synchronistic. I'm not even surprised because it's so perfectly.
Yeah. So I think that this is the most important revelation that I bring today, is the Boltzmann brain, and I encourage the audience to do a search on Wikipedia, Boltzmann brain, and it's all there, and it's all been documented, and it's mainstream physics now.
Is that Boltzmann?
Yeah,
Two N's in the
Boltzmann
end?
brain.
Okay.
They could have chosen a more user-friendly
appealing name, yeah.
term than that. Yeah, but of course scientists have to be they can't be too humanistic.
They have to sound
keep it-
scientific.
Yeah, they have to sound
Right.
scientific.
Part of their branding.
Yeah.
I actually thought maybe that was the name of somebody who came up with that, because usually they
Actually,
name it
he
after
did.
somebody.
Boltzmann hypothesized this 100 years ago.
Okay.
And now they recognize that it's probably true. There's one other thing I want to talk about is evolution and Darwin. And Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest, has been to the most part discredited. His description only applies to a small part of evolution. And the principle behind this is a term called complexity, irreducible complexity.
Okay.
In that there are some things in the universe, like the human eye, that are so complex that they could not have evolved incrementally
Right.
through
human
thousands
eye.
of steps. The eye
right.
is so complex.
Wow.
Yeah.
And another example they give, like humans make devices that are irreducibly complex. Like the mousetrap is the favorite one they talk about. A mousetrap, although it's simple, has only 5 elements. But if you take one element, it won't work.
Right.
Or a motor car, take away 1 or 2 elements and the car won't work. So they're irreducibly complex. And there are many examples in biology. And again, to the molecules that I talked about, the snake venom and the toad
Yes.
venom, are so complex
Right.
that they could not have evolved as a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
So that, and also in history, those species make sudden leaps.
Yeah.
They don't always go through incremental changes. You've seen people with 6 fingers on their hands. They don't have a gradual growth.
Right.
Generation to generation, it suddenly appears someone's born with 6 fingers on each hand.
Yeah.
That's
So then what do you attribute? Is there a theory about that?
Well, my theory is that it's downloaded into the DNA from the Akashic fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
actually, go.
So I was
I-
just going to say, from years from now, we'll be calling that the Stewart theory.
Well, you know, when I was watching Jurassic Park, and I was watching the big dinosaur chase the little dinosaurs, and you know, because we hear today that birds are evolved from dinosaurs, right? And I was thinking, with such fear of running away from these big dinosaurs, these little dinosaurs must have been wishing for thousands of years wishing that they could just fly away from the fear, and then someday, but. Again, flight is another example of one of those things that could not evolve, right? It has to happen all at once.
Yeah, yeah. So this information resides already before the manifestation. Like another example, Mozart's music. He's one of the few who could describe in detail his experience. He said that a whole concerto would come to him in a flash.
Yeah.
So he was getting a terahertz download, boom, and then he could write it off bar by bar. He didn't compose the music, and he acknowledged that. So where was it before he heard it?
Yeah.
It was already in a higher encoded form in the Akashic dimensions. Yeah.
So then, for humans, did humans evolve from apes and that kind of thing, or were humans just there?
No, a large part of evolution was sudden appearances, so there's no missing link.
Yeah.
Okay.
No missing link.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are, and you've got. Do you want to go through some of the
Well, I
diagrams?
have over 30 slides. I
Yeah.
don't think there's time
Okay.
to go through them. We're having a flow, a natural
Yeah.
flow here, to go through linearly. One of the
Okay.
things I've learned in studying with Cryon and Dolores Cannon and others is the benefits of nonlinearity
Okay. Good.
rather than 3D linearity
Yes.
thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's one of the things we specialize at here at that channel.
Being in the moment.
Yeah. So like a fractal, a fractal goes round and round and repeats itself at different
Oh my God, we
levels.
mentioned that last night too. Okay. That is just so. We talked about that in class last night
Well,
too.
it's no accident. We're
Yeah.
I'm tapping into what you created and you carry with you
And
in
I'm
your
telling you,
aura.
Isn't that,
in your
isn't
aura,
that
yeah.
wild?
You're
So-
inducing that in me.
No. Okay, John.
And we haven't seen each other in it's got to be over
2
a year
years?
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I want to probe John a little bit more with all this knowledge that he's bringing to us today, because people look. We had a guy here earlier the week from the Conspiracy Culture bookstore, right? And I'm kind of into that kind of stuff too, right? And a lot of people
all related.
A lot of people are looking around at the world, and they're seeing the big police state coming down. They're seeing Fukushima radiation all over the place.
C-51.
All that kind of stuff. And some people will look at all that and say, oh, this is the impending apocalypse as portrayed in the Bible, and that some people say that entities like that Dolores Cannon and other people cry on channel, or these are really demonic forces and that sort of thing. So I just want to hear a little bit, if you can, with this state of the world that we are now. And other people are saying it's the dawn of a great new age and we're going to evolve. And what you're talking about is that maybe we're going to have some sort of evolutionary leap. We're going to get a big download that's going to help us overcome the present situation and make it moot. What do you
I
say
think
about
we're
that?
getting that all the time. And there are different folks, different strokes for different folks. And we are light workers, and we have our domain of functioning and thinking, and we're creating a future. We're tapping it. The future is creating us, and we're creating the future through an attractor, like in fractal theory. The future has attractors that are pulling us, and we are responsive to that. And we have our work area. There are others who have their left-hand work area. They work in the darkness, and we need them. We need to have people who work in the darkness, like policemen, military, emergency.
Politicians.
Politicians. Yeah, we need such people to work and give a supportive substrate to the universe, to our universe. And we are up. We have our work to do. It's like the part of the great body of all that is, each organ, and we are an organ in that great body. We have our work to do, and we should focus on that and not be contaminated by the work that others are doing.
I mean, they're focusing on their work.
They have their work to do,
and we should be focusing on
and their
ours.
frequencies are resonant with those requirements, and they may not go with the shift this time round.
Right.
We hopefully will go with the shift. That's just because the way we have evolved through many, many, many lifetimes. Yep.
What shift? I thought we were supposed to have that in 2012.
Yeah, well, maybe it's happening. It's not boom, one day we wake up and there's a shift. And in fact, most of us wouldn't. It would be a seamless splice that we wouldn't even see it happen.
We wouldn't notice.
But something else I want to say,
Yeah.
come up. Many religions talk about the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
Christ is the highest manifestation of deity in all of the dimensions. And Christ is an entity, like other entities, that is manifested and sub-manifested humans. Jesus being one, Buddha and others who are human manifestations of that higher entity consciousness.
So you're talking Christ consciousness
Christ
right now, not the
consciousness
Jesus figure.
Is the man.
Okay.
Like we are humans, and we are
Christ.
carrying a great spirit that's working through us.
Right.
But it seems that the second coming is already here, because there are many of us are tapping into that Christ consciousness and trying to manifest it, like here today. We are light workers, we are priests, we are doing sacred work right here at this table.
Yes, I would agree with that.
We are the priests of the temple of Syrinx.
We are the manifestation of that higher consciousness right now. And our work is to be the best that we can be. It's like being an Olympic athlete. We have high level work and discipline to do.
So we're flexing our consciousness muscle.
Yeah.
So now I hear certain things, like I heard about 2012, that was the moment, point of inflection where we went from a sort of an underlying darkness to an underlying more positive scenario.
Yes.
Right?
And the preponderance of negativity, positivity has already shifted.
Yeah, and other people are saying, in fact, Sanda, who's
Yeah.
going to be coming on the show a little bit later today, she says that the darkness is defeated. that we've won. The good guys have won. It's just like a mopping up
Yeah,
operation.
yeah.
And you, because I know you're mentioning David Wilcock, doesn't he also talk about, the dark cabal has been defeated and that sort of thing? Do you have anything to say?
Yeah,
about that?
I don't want to get caught up too much. It's not our area to focus on.
Right. Okay.
We have to keep clean, and we have to maintain our higher frequency. Not that we're any better, it's just that's where
It's
we
our
are.
role.
Yeah.
We have work to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And a great responsibility, because we're feeding back to the Akash
All right.
our experiences.
Well, unfortunately, guess what? We don't have any time left.
Just one little thing.
Sure.
It's the random event generators of the PEAR, Princeton Engineering Anomalous Research Laboratory, where they had these random generators all around the planet that respond to changes in consciousness. And I brought with me the famous mind lamp,
Yeah.
except I rebuilt it and put a crystal, so it's the mind crystal, that has within it the PEAR, the Princeton Research random generator, the diode inside, so that it's responding to our consciousness as we have been speaking, and it changes color.
That's great. I
So which
love
means
one
it's
of those.
changing the planet as well.
It's responding to changes as conscious, like 9/11, these REGs gave dramatic changes. Important events, important funerals, weddings, airplane crashes, there are blips in the random distribution. It becomes non-Gaussian.
It's kind of like when Spock detected that Vulcan space liner got blown up.
Yeah, I'm sure there was indications.
Nobody gets that.
So, all the Star Trek people get it,
Okay.
Sandra.
Okay,
So,
fine.
John, okay, now let's just leave people with something now. Let's give out your contact information. You're building these phenomenal, miraculous machines, including, you mentioned, I heard in the other interview about the God helmet, a new and improved God helmet. And
Excuse me, the new God helmet?
the new and improved God helmet.
Oh my goodness, we need to talk about that. We have to have you back on.
We'll have to. This topic is so important for humanity.
Yeah.
People should be fed it on a regular basis. This is nourishment.
So we should
Well,
have
let's
John
do
on every,
something.
Yeah.
Okay, could we do something, John?
Absolutely.
You are so mind expanding. It's
Yeah.
so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting all these new words and all these new acronyms.
And you're not even wearing a God helmet.
I'm not even really. No, I don't even. I've got the orb in crystal form. It's the Boltzmann thing in crystal form.
Yeah, okay.
Because you said it responds and the orbs
It
respond.
responds.
So
Yeah.
wow.
Those are better than those salt lamps.
Yes. Nice
Yeah.
color.
Because they change color.
Yeah.
Those salt lamps are monochrome.
Yes. Actually, I thought it was just a funky salt lamp.
Yeah. It has this random generator
That is
inside,
so
and randomness responds to consciousness.
Yeah, that's why you can. Some
There's
people-
no order. It's empty, waiting for order to influence it.
That's why if you ever play Risk, there's so many sixes get rolled. It's insane. Check it out. Okay, Dr. John, how do people get in touch with you? Is there a website or
Yeah,
something?
my email address,
Okay.
anyone is invited to contact me, info@biophysica.com.
Awesome.
And so you have two websites
I
now.
have many websites,
Okay.
but this more recent one is transcranial.institute.
Okay. All
There's a
right.
new designation, not .com, but .institute.
That is so Dr. John. Because it sounds so.
Finally
Smart.
now I can finally register my new business, the Coffee and Donut Institute. Okay. All right. We're going to take a little break now.
I don't want to laugh because I'm going to cough.
Don't do that. Take a little break. Coming back here on Liquid Lunch, thatchannel.com.